Hey guys, so today we're going to be taking a look at a gaming monitor. This is going to be from Titan Army, and it's their 27-inch IPS 180Hz refresh rate gaming monitor. Now, let's touch on some of the specs, and then we can actually talk about why the pricing on this is actually really good. I remember a few years ago, to get a really good gaming monitor, even at 1440p, which this one is 2560 by 1440, it was pretty expensive. Like, you couldn't really get these high refresh rates or even a nice IPS panel. Let's start right there. IPS has always been my favorite compared to VA or other types of panels. Of course, now you have OLED and mini LED and other much more expensive monitors, but I actually have the Asus OLED 27-inch. It's like the exact same size as this one, and that one was really roughly around $1,000. So this Titan Army monitor is about a quarter of the price. And yes, of course, the other one's OLED and it has all the little, little other things to it. But in terms of a gaming experience, this is definitely not a quarter of that monitor. So it's pretty impressive what you can get here. IPS, the first thing that I noticed are just really vibrant colors. Even without being HDR and without being something like an OLED panel, the colors, even on the desktop, when you open up like Steam or like GeForce Experience, where there's like a lot of different colors, like reds and greens, they all look really, really nice and rich. I even opened up Ratchet and Clank, and that game is a really beautifully done game with lots of beautiful colors. For me, the image is everything. That's one of the most important aspects of a really good quality monitor. That's going to be the number one key thing, just the IPS. It looks really, really good. Even though it's 27 inches, it's not a huge, humongous screen. The detail and the color, the contrast, all look very good on this monitor. Of course, it would be nice if it would have HDR, but at this price point, you really can't expect that. I mean, that's going to be for the more expensive OLED and the mini LED monitors that could be up to like 4 times the price. So that's the bit of a trade-off. Like, you're not going to be on the complete bleeding edge of monitor technology, but you're also going to be, spending a significant amount less. And even without HDR, it still looks really good. First of all, HDR within Windows itself, if you're doing productivity, never really works too well. It always looks a little bit janky. I've never really liked HDR in Windows. In games, it's a different idea altogether. If you're playing a game like Resident Evil 4, for example, that has a really nice HDR implementation if you play on a nice monitor that has that. But even without HDR, this monitor still has good contrast and very good colors. So in terms of the price you're saving is a pretty good compromise. And then obviously the second most important thing of the monitor is going to be sort of the performance specs. This one goes up with DisplayPort to about 180 Hertz, so you can get 180 refresh rate. Now, that's certainly very, very good. A lot of the cheaper monitors are often maybe like 144 at most, so this one goes all the way up to 180, which at 1440p, especially with some of the newer GPUs like a 4070 Super, 4080 Super especially, you can definitely really max out this monitor. It also has a 1 millisecond response time, which is going to be pretty good for these type of gaming monitors. That's going to be right about where you want to be for something that has a really a fast refresh rate. Some productivity monitors, obviously, you're going to have a much slower refresh rate because they're not meant for gaming, but this one is nicely tuned and geared really towards gaming. So 27-inch panel, IPS, the colors look beautiful, nice contrast, and it's a very fast panel, 180 Hertz and 1 millisecond response time when you're using DisplayPort. Very, very nice. You do have the option of HDMI as well, and I believe the refresh rate will go down, but that's going to be sort of par the course with monitors that have multiple inputs, but you do get those options to connect more than one thing to it. And of course, this monitor does have adaptive sync, but it doesn't have G-Sync or anything like that. A lot of the more expensive G-Sync monitors even used to come with a G-Sync module. It's part of the reason why their prices were so much higher, but with a really nice IPS panel like this, 180 Hertz refresh rate, really fast response time, it's questionable if you really need G-Sync or not, especially if you're playing like more competitive games. I think you're going to be overall fine, and you're still going to have adaptive sync, so it's still going to be fairly decent. Didn't experience any problems like that at all, and in fact, I'd rather just have the price savings and have it be the way it is instead of have like a pricey G-Sync module or something like that embedded within this monitor. In terms of other practical things on this monitor, it is easy to swivel it or move it up and down. So the stand itself, everything's like nice and light. Nothing's too heavy or bulky. You even get a nice little, light on the back of the stand. Looks very attractive. It looks very good. It looks like a much more expensive monitor. It doesn't look like it's any cheaper than like some of the OLED 27-inch monitors, at least appearance-wise. Obviously, then you have to account for the panel technology, which adds to the cost of those models. But overall, it's a very, premium feeling monitor. Obviously, it's not going to be, the stand doesn't have, like Asus has the little light on the bottom and, really robust sort of feet. This one is sturdy. It's strong, but it's also light enough that you could move it around. But overall, considering the price, and also you get an additional coupon if you use my coupon code, it's going to be Tiago0308. Tiago0308. You get an additional $10 off. It's a pretty good price. If you need a monitor to come in under budget and still perform really nice, like honestly, I've been playing this. Right here, I have an Asus 27-inch OLED. I don't know if you can see it on the camera here, but it's literally, you can see the Asus in the back. Literally, I had it right next to it and going back and forth, and it's really enjoyable to play on the other monitor. Obviously, the OLED has a few perks, but it's not that big of a difference. This OLED was at least 4 times more expensive, and I'd be happy saving that money and using the other one, really. Because monitors, I'm always afraid I'm going to like bump into them and break them, so at least something that's a little bit cheaper, you don't have to worry about it being such a penalty, for example. You're always a little nervous about these like almost $1,000 panels if you scratch it or something like that, so there's that little bit of peace of mind. But overall, very nice monitor, great colors, great performance, great price. Certainly something I can recommend. I want to thank Titan Army for sending me the unit to review. And remember to check out the link down below. Use my code Tiago0308 and let me know what you guys think about this monitor. Alright guys, remember to subscribe, smash that like button, and I'll see you guys on the next video.